Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review. In this review we're looking at a watch that has created quite a stir on Kickstarter. That's the Visitor Watch Co. Duneshore, created by a young man in Indiana. I mean, as you can see, the design is quite unique. Certainly many people are saying that it's like nothing they've ever seen before, and I'm going to have to say I agree. There's certainly lots of new kind of design features in here. So we'll have a look at it and see if it is worth the money. So it's worth $650, which equates to about £420. Obviously, that is a fair amount of money. You can get a nice Swiss-made watch for that. So it's really thinking about if it's worth the money, and if you do get a lot of watch for it, and if it's a nicely designed and built watch. So firstly, let's think about the specs. So we have a 2.5mm sapphire crystal on the top with a anti-reflective coating on it. We have a Miyota 9015 automatic movement with a custom rotor. That's a mineral crystal at the back. We have from some really good lume. It's BGW9 Superluminova. The watch has a water resistance rating of 100 meters. It comes in 3 different dial colours. Thinking about the size as well, so it's 44mm. It's quite a decent size, 44mm diameter by a 51mm lug to lug length. And then the height, we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but the height varies. So the thinnest point it's 11.75mm, and at the thickest point it's 13.69mm. Okay, so we have our 3 examples here. This is obviously not a finished watch, but it gives us an idea of the colour of the like the greeny colour. So there we go, put that down. It's quite interesting to see actually just the dial on its own. Let's focus in on that. Pretty cool. Okay, so I have the sandy one and the grey slate colour in for review. Personally, I think I prefer this colour, but obviously many people, I'm sure, will look at the sandy colour one and think that they like that. So that's perfectly fine. So let's start with the case then. So as I mentioned before, it's got a 2.5mm sapphire crystal, really thick, really heavy. When you tap it, it gives a decent thud. You know, on affordable watches, usually the sapphire crystal is a little bit thin, and you can hear it when you're tapping it. It's a little bit like chinky, but no sign of that with this bad boy. It has a really good layer of anti-reflective coating. Obviously on a lighter dial that's always going to look better, but on the darker dial it's still very good. Obviously I'm sat right next to a window, so I am inevitably going to get some reflections, but when you're wearing it in every day, is really clear, so that's good. The case itself is pretty much entirely polished. The only bit that's brushed is on the case back, this very small section here. So everywhere else is completely polished, and the finish is staggering really. It's really good. These well, you can see how angular it is, almost diamond shaped. It's got that many angles and facets to it, but the design is quite fascinating really, seeing all these different angles and curves. This is one of the main things that that has got people really talking. So it's quite hard to explain really. We've obviously got the main circular shaft there, which is goes into this surrounding section, which has all the diamond like angles to it, and then we have this very nicely curved back, which the case back is screwed into. Again, that's really impressive just on its own. And then on top of that, we have another key talking point about the watch, which is the curved caseback, which fits the wrist very, very comfortably and snugly. So I have a 7.5-inch wrist for your information. So as you can see, it just fits around the wrist very well, and it is extremely comfortable for the size of the watch, 44mm and 51mm lug length. It is, you know, as you can see, quite a chunky beast, but it fits so comfortably. With the curved case back, it feels almost really soft on your wrist because there's no harsh edges, you know, flat edges that perches on your wrist. So that's good. It's a mineral crystal. Obviously, it would have been nicer to see sapphire in the case back, but you know, we're not going to complain about that really. So around the case back, we have a certain amount of details engraved in the back, and as I mentioned before, this is the only polished section of the whole watch. Everything else is polished. Sorry, getting my words mixed up. Another thing to note is that it's got a screw-in crown. Now it's quite interesting that it's only rated to 100 meters, being that it's got a screwed-in case back and a screw-in crown. I'm sure, you know, it could have been rated higher, but don't know, maybe that would have bumped up the price a little bit. But that's not really a problem anyway, because 100 meters is enough for shallow swimming and for to have it underwater a little bit. We also have drilled through lugs, which is nice. As you can see, the lugs are quite a unique bubbly shape as well, to go with the rest of the uniqueness of the watch. So changing your straps is really easy. I've got a little tool here that you just literally push in, and then you can release the spring inside the strap. So that's really easy to change your straps, which is another good point actually, because you do have a massive amount of choice with straps. So you can either have a calf strap, a ostrich strap, or a deer strap, all genuine leather, all very nicely made as well. As you can see, it does look very nice, and I've been sent quite a selection of straps to choose from as well. So I'm not sure if all of these straps will be available to buy, but as you can see, the potential is there to have quite a unique watch. You know, we've got 8 different straps here, 3 different dials. You've got so much choice really to customize the watch to a style and color theme that you like. I think I particularly like the ostrich straps actually, with these almost look like knots to them, but they're very soft, very nicely made. So that's probably my favourite personally. Whilst we're still on the strap, it's worth noting the buckle, which again is another brilliantly designed aspect of the watch. As you can see, when we get the light reflecting off it, there's angles to it as well. So we have a nice, almost like a pre-V buckle. And then if you look underneath, oh hello, we have Visitor Watch Co. engraved nicely underneath, which is subtle. It's nice that they've put it underneath so it's not too visible. I expect they want the shape of the buckle to do most of the talking. So there it is. I do really like these angles just here. I mean, it could have been just like a nice plain sweep, but having these little angles in really matches the angular design of the watch really well. So that theme carries through. It fits the strap really well, and it makes it really comfortable to wear as well. Mainly because of, again, the nice little angle on the tab there. Okay, so let's think about the dial then. Obviously, once again, quite a unique design, really. You think, look at the hands, and you think, you know, what do they look like? They don't look like anything we've really seen much before on a watch. These are thanks to the influence that the designer had from fountain pens, I believe. So we have, again, they're just hard to describe. I really like the second hand with this counterweight, which is a little circular icon. The hour hand is a round loomed center, which is very elegant looking, and so is the you can even see the loom working there actually a little bit. The diamond shaped loom section of the hour hand, again, I can't really describe it, but they are very unique and out there, and it really works. It looks brilliant. I love it. So the hands are all perfectly made. We have obviously the 3 different dial colours, and we have these little lines. I believe they're engraved. Let me just have a closer look. No, sorry, they're not engraved. They're printed on. So those little lines are printed on, ever so slightly raised. I do really like how the visitor logo is in quite an unusual place at 3 o'clock as well, rather than, you know, standard at 12 o'clock. That's a little unusual, and I really like that. The date window, as you can see, is just printed out. Personally, I like to see it to have a little bit of a border, but I think maybe in this instance they've made the right decision and kept it nice and simple to match the rest of the dial. We have the applied hour markers as well. So we have circles at 12, 3, 6 and 9, and then we have these water droplets almost at the rest of them. Again, all fantastically made. You can't really fault them at all. And then the minute track is the sandwich dial. So they're all on lower level and are loomed as well. So that's really impressive to see that so well made. But we'll have a look at that in a closer detail when I get the macro lens out. So just finally, the date window. Some people will complain that they've used the black date window on the lighter dial. People say that they prefer the date window to match the dial colour. I'm not particularly fussed about it. Obviously in the darker dial it looks absolutely fantastic, and it does work really well. So that's a great positive. It's good that they chose to invert the colours as well, because it is a little bit different, rather than the plain old white date wheel with black print. So yeah, in that way I'm glad they've done it. Okay, so just the movement then. This is a 9015 Miyota, which we've discussed many times now. It's the watch movement to go to for boutique watch manufacturers who are after a really high quality, high beat movement for a low price that can compete with the Swiss made watches such as the ETAs or the Solitas. So it has all more or less the same specs. High beat movement, so it's 28.8 thousand ticks per hour, which is 8 ticks a second, so it has a nice sweep. Just over 40 hours power reserve. It's obviously an automatic, but also you can hand wind it, and it has a hack in seconds. And to be honest, these movements have created such a great following, and you know, they're very, very rarely conk out. So you're going to have a great watch that's going to last you a very long time and is going to be very dependable. So that's good. Okay, well let's. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I've missed out. I don't know if I mentioned the widths of the strap. I don't think I did. So it's 22 mil at the lugs, and then it's down to 20 mil at the buckle. So you know, quite a nice chunky strap. You can fit on it, and it matches the watch well, the size. Okay, so let's get the macro lens on, and we'll have a look at it in further detail. Okay, so let's start with the dial then. Just check that I've got the lens on. Okay. Right. So you can see how crisp that visitor is, absolutely spot on. We can see also the little tiny sandwich elements where they've been drilled into the dial. Tell you what, let me get the spare dial out so we can have a look at this one. There we go. And then we can see, we'll obviously have to excuse the dust on this one, but it gives us an idea of the applied hour markers as well. Oh, nicely made. And we have these this crosshair, which is a nice little design touch I like. Have a look at the back of the dial as well. Very interesting. Okay, so let's carry on then, looking at these hands. As you can see, can't really fault them, made extremely well. There's that little, I don't know what it is, counterweight, but it's a nice design. It looks great. Nice long second handle, almost reaching the end of the dial, which I really like to see. So there we go. So yeah, the dial is great. Design is fantastic. The execution is flawless as well. There's the date window as well, date wheel. Okay, so let's move on to the case, which I feel is going to be very difficult to get a decent shot of because it's still very polished. You can see the angles, how angular it is, yet it's all machined so well. That's the end drilled through lug. The Caseback is actually 3 pieces, so this like center section is screwed into place. You can see the slight gap just along this this edge here, but you wouldn't actually notice that at all when looking at the watch. Let's move over and have a look at the crown. It's a plain crown, no engraving on. There we go. And then let's have a look at this curved Caseback. So this is one of the screws. As you can see, it fits, made to fit each other perfectly. Incredible. And then we have this brushed section, calligraph Duneshore, Indiana. There we go. And then we have, you can see the curve there, and if I go like this, you should be able to see a bit of distortion to it. This is the custom rotor, which I believe is going to be tweaked when it goes into production. So don't forget that this is a pre-production model. Let's see. Tell you what, let me get the other one because it's actually wound up and running. There we go. There it is, ticking away. So it's great that they've included a custom rotor. because not many affordable watches do. So that's a great plus as well. Okay, well, I've taken plenty of time now looking at it. I mean, I hope you've seen with me how incredible really this watch is. It's completely out there, and there's loads of other watch bloggers who agree. They think, as I do, the design is brilliant. He's done such a great job of creating something unique, yet not so out there that people don't like it. It's received such a fantastic reception, and I'm so pleased to see that he has built a watch which, with quality in mind, such good quality to match the design. So there it is on my wrist. So I would highly recommend it for just over £420. You are getting a very, very good watch. The design is outstanding, as I keep mentioning. The execution is flawless. Great spec. You get to support a great brand new startup company as well, who've just come out of Kickstarter. So I would highly recommend it. So if you do fancy it, then definitely go for it. So this was the Visitor Watch Co. Duneshore, and that's what it's all about.